My wife and I are having our first baby in 5 months, and I have exactly that much time to figure out how to replace her income. She's been making the majority of our income for the past year, and I've had some side jobs as I've been starting my real estate business, but I'm starting to feel the crunch because as soon as this baby's born, the ideal goal is for her to not have to go back to work. In my first 6 months as a real estate agent, I had 2 closings, which was really great, but then as the winter hit and people weren't buying as much or selling as much, we really started to feel the strain, and out of necessity, we are starting to look at some creative options. I first heard about rental arbitrage about 3 years ago on a podcast and was very interested, but it felt a little out of reach and very risky at that point. But now that I have some experience in the real estate world, I actually understand this to be one of the lower barrier to entry businesses that I can start. Essentially, rental arbitrage is when you sign a lease with a landlord to rent their property at long-term market rate and sublease it out to other tenants at short-term premium rates. As you know, if you look on Airbnb and you look at the nightly rate, and then if you actually did the math on your monthly rent at your apartment, there's a vast difference between the 2 different rates of what a night costs at your apartment that you're renting for a 12-month lease versus the 1 to 2 days that you'll be having at an Airbnb. There's a lot of ways to skin this cat, and the majority of people who are doing this have a different opinion about how you should do this. I am just going to be showing you my experience as we are trying to build this business from the ground up. My wife and I have decided that out of necessity, we are not going to spend a dime on education in the form of mentorship or courses. Honestly, I would love to have a coach, a mentor, or just a course to take right now because that would make things about 100 times easier and it would just be a step-by-step guide. But since we have all the time and none of the money in the world right now, it's a no-brainer. I just have to figure this out on my own right now. So I've been utilizing as many free resources as I can. There are hundreds of hours of this content on YouTube, but from what I've gathered so far, if you're looking to get into this as well, you're looking from anywhere from a $1,000 to $10,000 range of an initial investment. It's possible to leverage business debt when starting out, but we're doing this the Dave Ramsey way by necessity because we got declined for a credit card at Chase. We have filed for our LLC. We got our DUNS number a few days ago, but there is a moderate to high risk when you're first starting out. So the majority of property management companies are probably just going to see that as a red flag. It looks like in order to get started with us in our situation, we're going to be offering a personal guarantee with a personal lease instead of a corporate lease. Just because we organized our LLC on January 14th and it's the 31st right now. So let's get into it. Remember, I'm flying blind and a lot of this is just going to be trial and error. I've spent the better part of this month learning everything I possibly can, consuming as much content that's out there for free. And the method that we're choosing is an amalgamation of a lot of different people's opinions. So if you're getting into this and you have no money like me, you're going to have to do the same exact thing too, unless you have a little bit of cash or you can finance the mentorship that's being sold to you. You're going to have to use your head to figure this out. And as you'll see, the more complex this gets, the more you'll realize why business owners get paid so much more than the people who just show up and are expected to do a task. I come from a long line of entrepreneurs and now it's my turn, and after 3 years of realizing that there is just not a job on this planet that I will fit into, it's time for me to figure it out. All right. This is actually officially the first video that I've shot in this entire, vlog. Who am I? Toby Turner. But right now I am going to pick up the first piece for this Airbnb. So yeah, it's a $25 rug on Marketplace, and I'm going to pick it up in Bellevue right now. And then there is a set of nightstands that they had a little, some scratches on the top of them, but I'm like, a magic marker will work to repair that. So that's $45, whereas before I was budgeting the nightstands is like $150 for the pair, and then the rug was gonna be like $200 or maybe like $150, somewhere in there. Good deals. We weren't really even in the buying phase yet, but I just messaged them and I was like, have either of these things sold yet? And if so, would you take, X amount, kind of like lowball them on each of them? So they both said yes, because they have been sitting for a while. So anyway, I'm gonna go pick that up. Okay, so the first step that I took was to set up our LLC, and initially I consulted Master Chief.
You have a better idea?
Because it looked like it was easy, and everybody online was saying to just file with one of these "we'll file it for you" websites. But then I got to the checkout page, and the fees rack up pretty quickly. So like honestly, it's just easier to go straight to your Secretary of State website. All you have to do is type Secretary of State, and then you get onto the Tennessee Secretary of State Business Services online, and then you just do form or register a new business. Who can file here? You can read all the website if you want to, but just go for it. And then honestly, you just kind of go down this list, and then you download your articles of organization on the last page. You'll get that, and you'll have it immediately if it's within business hours or the next day, whenever. That other little thing where the company was charging $99 to get an EIN, it is also just the easiest thing possible to do. All you have to do is look up EIN IRS, and this is the number that allows you to go get a bank account. Just go straight to the IRS, get an EIN. Everything that you need for this form is on the articles of organization that you just downloaded from the Secretary of State. So you just hit begin application, and then you'll go through all of these questions, and then they just give you an EIN at the end. All right, the rug is procured. It was threadbare in a couple spots, but you know, that's okay because it was $25 and it was just on the rim in a couple areas, but I really don't think that's gonna make much of a difference I just don't think people care about that, and I don't either. This whole subdivision is like oh, what's that book? The Broccoli Patch and Wrinkle in Time. This is like the hour of play.
Why are you playing now?
It's the hour to play.
Now we're headed back up to like Midtown-ish to go get the nightstands for 20 bucks. Gotta go get some cash on the way. And yeah, so for, I don't know, like $250 off for these items, I think that's a good morning for procurement. So I got the nightstands in here, 20 bucks. But also when he was showing me where to pull up on Facebook Marketplace, there was a little red couch in the picture. So, oh yeah, free couch. He said it was out here for like 2 or 3 days, so we're just gonna take it. That's it. I know it wouldn't fit technically, but I'll tell a little story about what I did, I guess like 2 years ago now. I started couch flipping out of this car. My dad and I welded a trailer hitch onto the back of this thing. Basically, I would get on Facebook Marketplace and just like get couches as cheap as possible. I would either put them in the back of the car like this or get them on the trailer that I had. My craziest profit margin, they had this, it was probably like a $7,000 sectional, and they listed it for 200 bucks, but I said like, hey, would you take $25 for it? And they were like, yeah, just come pick it up. And then listed it for $650, and then charged $50 for a delivery because I hired a friend to help me with it. So made like a lot. That was a really cool win. So yeah. All right, so I live in Nashville, and I know for a fact that it's just an incredible market for short-term rentals because I'm in the real estate industry already, and it's what every investor wants to get their hand on. There's 2 designations in Nashville, and that's non-owner occupied, which the owner doesn't have to live there, or there's owner occupied short-term rental, so it's NOOSTR and OOSTR. I know that within Nashville there are different zone codes that one can work with and the other can't work with, and vice versa. I spent the past month going through the parcel viewer for Metro Nashville and looking at the different zone codes and finding a list of apartment buildings that would work with this business model. So the first tool you're going to need is called AirDNA. If you want to see the data about revenue reportings for each of the different properties, you are gonna have to buy a subscription, and it's a pretty big price tag. You have to buy the year-long subscription for $400, or each month I think was $125. So you're definitely paying a premium if you're going month to month. On the landing page for each market, you'll see you have a market score, which measures demand, revenue growth, seasonality, regulation, and investability. You'll have revenue, occupancy, average daily rate, and then revenue per available rental. This is going to be some really broad info, and if you scroll down, you can just see there's all sorts of charts and graphs that break this all the way up. But let's go back up to the landing page, and then the next tab you'll see is the submarket. So within Nashville, there's 42. So before you choose a submarket, you're going to want to go up into the listing page up here, and this is going to show the search criteria that's going to actually pull up the different comps in the neighborhood. Bedrooms, you want to dial this in. So let's just start with a 1-bedroom, 1-bath apartment. Let's try to dial in on our submarket a little bit. So the darker the area on the map, the higher the market score is going to be. But I really do want to see that there's more revenue at a lower occupancy if possible, but also the more occupied a property is, the higher the likelihood that that area is more popular. So downtown Nashville, 70% occupancy with a 95 market score, 52,000 in revenue potential. I do know that it's going to be kind of hard to find an apartment down there that's not in the luxury level with a super high price range on rent. So I'm going to look a little bit outside. I know Music Row and Midtown and Vanderbilt are good places to look. Berry Hill is as well. Let's just take a look at Music Row, 60% occupancy at 40,000 in revenue. So now that we have our submarket selected, let's go ahead and scroll down a little bit on the landing page. Let's go into revenue, and then we're going to scroll down here, hit this drop down and go 2 years. We're just trying to get average numbers for each month. And then we're going to export this and then open it up. If you use Google Sheets or Excel or Numbers on Mac, go ahead and highlight all of these on the right side. And these are going to be your monthly revenues. And then you're going to average this out. So 3436. So this is where our margins come into play. 3436 divided by 2. 1718 in Music Row is the rent or below that you should be looking for. Now this 2x rule is pretty crucial. It's going to allow you to make margins on top of your rent so that you can pay yourself well, pay your VAs when you eventually automate, and it's going to make sure that you're not going underwater at any point throughout the year. I do want to show you guys why we're picking Nashville as our market. There's just a little reminder every day as I drive home from the gym. It's downtown and we go through the tourist traps on the way back home. It's Broadway. A lot of you have probably heard about it before, but it is just so many people. You're about to see it. I'm about to drive through, but I really do believe that you can do this business in any market, and I've seen a lot of people that do, but every single person over here needs a place to stay tonight, and we're providing that service at a premium. This is a heavy tourist destination year round. We're in the lowest season right now, January, where it's just cold, and I mean, this place is still a party outside. It's not like Times Square by any means, but come tonight, around 5 p.m. up till about midnight, it's just gonna be insane. I have a lot of friends working in these bars playing music, and it's slammed every single night. Even when I drive down here on a Tuesday, it's still pretty crazy. Every single person here needs a place to stay for the night or 2 nights. It's bachelorette season year round. We're about to drive through Hillsborough Village where my wife and I live. It's just a bunch of shopping, not necessarily luxury. There's a little bit of a touristy aspect. There's a lot of those like Nashville shops that just sell sweatshirts that say Nashville, basically drop shipped. The Pancake Pantry, which there's a line around the block every single day. So it's just like anytime you see people in a place, it just kind of reminds you that it's like, man, this place, there's commerce going constantly. There are people here 24/7, year round. There's constantly cranes in the sky. So if you're going by the crane count, it's definitely a good place to invest. The street is lined with cars constantly. Tons of people inside of the shops. Not as much foot traffic on the sidewalks. At night, you'll definitely see it. Villager Tavern right there, one of the coolest spots ever. Is the Pancake Pantry and up. I think they're closed at 2 p.m., but they'll have a line around the block all the way down to there. But yeah, I mean, just the fact that you can barely find parking anywhere down here is a good indicator that there's like a good amount of commerce going on. So this is just another artery that's right outside of the Broadway area. Another spot that we have coming up that we're gonna drive through is Belmont. Part of the campus behind it, and so it's another huge school. I'll edit in the student body size, but they are well funded. They got some shops over here. Not as much traffic that I see on the reg. Just another place where parents can come and go for the graduation ceremonies or just visit their kids on a whim. So they'll need a place to stay for the night or 2 nights, whatever it is. To narrow down my search, I did some research on the zoning laws in Nashville and actually found a really great website. This guy compiled a whole list of all of the zone codes that are NOO, non-owner occupied short-term rental eligible. So shout out to B&B Top Management. I really appreciate you, and I got a lot of value out of this webpage. So once you have all these pulled up, you're gonna wanna go to the parcel viewer in Nashville. You're gonna click search, go down to custom. So let's just go ahead and hit Nashville, scroll down. Instead of scrolling through all of this, I just hit Command F and go MUG, and it'll bring you to here. Apartment high rises, it's gonna be 3 stories or taller. Just hit search. Now this is gonna pop out every single address or parcel within the mixed use general zone code, export to Excel, and then now you have addresses for each of these parcels. Highlight and copy the address, paste it into the tab, hit enter, open a new tab, go down this whole list of addresses. So now you're just gonna wanna go tab by tab and go to the actual website for the apartments that you're looking at this address. So scroll down and it looks like Samara Apartments in Nashville. Oh, and look at this. We got rent concessions advertised on the front page, a 14-month lease or longer, which is exactly what you want. You want the longest lease you can get with 2 months free. The next thing I did was just reaching out to every single one of these through the contact us page, filling this form out and adding a message and asking if they're okay with corporate leases. Now that's gonna fill up your inbox with tons of inbound leads, and most of them are gonna be chatbots, so you're gonna actually have to get through to another representative. Again, that's kind of like all it is. So the next thing that I started working on was my shopping list, and this was kind of at the time where we were considering getting the business credit. So I started with a really high number on the budget, and then eventually when we got denied for the credit card, I had to work that backwards. But it was really good to get a template for once we do eventually have that credit available, to have a good starting point where we're not gonna have to do as much legwork. We're gonna be able to actually buy at retail price. But this definitely taught me how to be super resourceful with the online shopping aspects. So I started with the 2-bed because I thought that was going to be the most profitable while also weighing in the investment costs for us. But when it came time to actually underwriting a deal, and a studio was the only thing that was available at the time, I got super resourceful and actually quartered the total cost of what a 2-bedroom would be totally retailed. So we actually were able to get this under $3,000. So by getting rid of that extra bathroom and the extra bedroom, our subtotal was $27.98, sales tax of $169, and grand total was $29.67. So that's the lowest furnishing cost that I've seen on YouTube, anybody that's done this so far, except for the people that are renting furniture off the bat. So if you have a better deal and you are able to be more resourceful, I would love to talk to you, and I want to see what you did. Just got off the phone with the leasing agent from the apartment complex that we've been looking at the past couple days, been doing all the underwriting and financial projections. I told her straight up, I was like, we just filed for our LLC like 3 weeks ago. I do have our DUNS number. It's going to read as a moderate to high risk for anybody, just because we have no credit file essentially at all. I told her that. I was like, but I know you guys have strict guidelines, so we are like totally willing to sign a personal lease as a personal guarantee and just build rapport and credibility with you guys. Start out with 1 unit and build as we go. So I'm like, you guys, you have like 19 vacant studio units, and this is a good deal for us. So told her all that, and she was really on board with it. She was like, I need to talk to my manager, and then she'll probably need to talk to her manager and all that stuff, go up the chain and figure it out. But I did tell her, this was the conversation where I was like, okay, like we advertise on online travel agencies to get our bookings for short and midterm. I did notice that there was another business that operates this same business model out of your other apartment complex in Germantown. That's where she was like, yeah, the model works for us. I told her about the lease addendum. If it's a personal lease, then I can send that over if you guys are actually interested in going forward with it, so that you can look at the language. So it was really great. She sounded excited about it, and it's like, she was like, I don't want the fact that your business is new to keep you from actually signing a contract with us. She was like, yeah, we do have a need with these studio units. We will see. Update soon.